everyone. We are Ricardo Turno
Hamid said.
and this is The Call Out.
First things first, rest in peace, Uncle Phil.
For real. So today we're going to discuss the malpractice that is the current education system.
Well, what do you exactly mean by that?
Well, for starters, let's talk about the grading system, right? Everybody's just chasing this number, that 7. Everybody wants that 7. Everybody wants that 7.0 average, And that's why the most common question asked in school is this on the test? Is this a 7 to 8? Is it a summative or a formative?
Right, this just doesn't allow students to achieve their full potential if you think about it. It's just a big overload of work that we have to try and understand in a brief period of time to just regurgitate it after in a pressurized environment, which, to be fair, we're not actually going to encounter that often in our work life. Yes, maybe in exams to enter university, sure, maybe in the university itself, all right, but not in a work environment.
Exactly, and then it's the same thing, right? It's like, if it's not the teacher telling you, it's you going and opening a website and then copying that and quote-unquote paraphrasing it, right? It's the same thing. It's just that pointless pain, that pointless workload that's just constantly falling on you. And then, the second you finish your essay, you just forget everything you wrote. You just forget it, right? It's not like you're actually achieving anything. You're not developing your knowledge or anything like that. And not only that, but what the school actually teaches you, right? When are you actually going to use something like the quadratic formula or a Pythagoras theorem? Or when are you actually going to go in the real world and you're going to have to analyze a book? Like, that kind of thing is just something that we don't actually use in day-to-day life, right? It's not something that's going to be applicable later on in life.
Yeah, and if you think about it, it's just them trying to find this one fit for every person, which isn't really possible. But in a way, that just turns students into robots.
Exactly.
If you go back to when schools were first invented, which is 150 years ago-ish, and by the way, since then, not much has changed, but they were just made to train people to work in factories.
Exactly.
If you see the way
killing the creativity.
Yeah, it's killing the creativity. It's not allowing people to understand what it means to actually learn a subject or to pursue what they actually want to do in the future.
Exactly, and students aren't getting that real-world experience, It's not like school is teaching us how to do our taxes or apply for a loan or invest or start your own business. It's nothing of that sort. They don't even teach us to innovate, The first thing that people say is that, all right, well, learning is just basically what the school does right now, is they just give us the dots, right? But education is that ability to connect those dots, The ability to connect your knowledge and use it in different scenarios.
Yeah, and it just always goes back to the point that, in a way, the schools, again, I already said this, I know, but they're just trying to find the best fit for everyone in the world. And that's not going to work because we all know that not two brains are the same. You can research, it's been scientifically proven. And that just shows that every person has a different skill set, which leads to a different dream and a different amount of change they can bring to the wall in different fields. So in a way, every gift should be given an equal chance. It's like when Albert Einstein said, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live their whole life, its whole life or whatever, thinking it's stupid.
Exactly. And then not only that, but school also takes away the socializing aspect. It doesn't allow a person to grow as a human being, It's like 90% of the honor roll students, the people that we're supposed to look up.
And we know, don't be scared to be wrong. There's no wrong answers. We do hear that a lot.
Yeah, but then they give us a 5 for that answer.
Right, exactly. It doesn't matter how much we try to experiment, which is something that is, I've been told this my whole life. It's crucial that at our age, this is the age where we have to go outside our bubble. We have to experiment and see what we like. Otherwise, we'll end up in the future not knowing what to do, and we'll become useless members of the society that bring no change or no improvement whatsoever. It just comes back again. The whole fact that we're not taught in school properly. Look at Finland, for example, the number one leading educational system. Siri, please. Come on. You told me about it off camera. What is it they do in Finland again?
Well, in Finland, up until grade 5, all that they do is teach kids to learn to read and that kind of thing. But they teach students to love education. They teach them the beauty of learning. One of the things they do is that they get a kid and they tell him, go climb this tree. Tell me what you see. Tell me what you find. And a kid would bring a little leaf or something back. Look, I found this. And, they let kids go and explore and run around and be kids, And they reduce the working hours. There's no homework.
Yeah.
So it's like this people they get to experience real life. You know, they get to go and do things. And actually, that batch where they did these kind of things, as opposed to homework and really hard assessments and all that kind of stuff, that batch was the most successful batch in the whole of Europe.
That's impressive. And if I remember correctly, there's also a study that was done in Harvard saying that the most predictive element for success is actually self-control and mental health.
Yeah, it is. And once again, that ties back to the whole Finland education system, right? Where they encourage that, they build that in their kids, right? Another thing is 1,500 executives said that creativity is the best leadership skill, right? It's the most essential leadership skill that a person can have.
Right, and if now that you mentioned these skills and character traits we should have, I don't know if you guys have done it in the past, but I remember we had to do it like a couple of years back. We had this character personality trait test thing where we had 24 different traits that were all ranked depending on our answers. And I remember going around and most of us certainly did not have neither creativity or leadership in those top 10 maybe. And that's scary because if you think about it, that's what our future generation has to work with. We have to be creative and we have to be innovative to solve all our problems in the future. And that's just, I don't know, it just creeps me out in a way.
And not only that, but most of them had a love of learning in the bottom half. Like, I'm talking like the bottom 5.
Yeah.
Like, most of them had love of learning over there, and that's scary. And now let's go back to the whole grades, right? Companies don't even look at grades, right?
Yeah.
Big corporations like Tesla and Google, they've been quoted to say we don't even look at the GPA of a student. And that's because they realize that it's just a number and it doesn't do anything for the students, right? It doesn't actually, it's not a good
display
of their intelligence,
Yeah.
exactly. And not only that, but now kids are starting to hate education, right?
That just comes with all the negative correlation to education and everything. And if you think about it, what makes a good school is a school that encourages and inspires kids to pursue the beauty of learning, not to just throw it to the side and be like, oh yes, I have to write 1,000 words for tomorrow, great. It's just about like finding that passion for something that you truly love discovering.
Exactly. Like, for example, I was reading the Stephen Hawking book the other day, and I loved reading it, right? I'm reading it for the fun of reading it, right?
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that schools should be building in students. I mean, students don't have to go somewhere else and find that, right? Like, I actually spend less time, like, learning in school than outside of school, right? Like, for example, when we had the Eid break, right? I went out and I started reading this book. I started... I went to my uncle's business to start learning. You know, I learned about investing. I read these kind of things, and that actually helped me a lot. Like, I feel like within that 1 week break, I learned more than I did within 3 months of school.
Wow, that just honestly, I can't even argue with that. I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. But we've just spent the past almost 10 minutes trash talking school. But let's be real. What can we really do to actually improve it?
Well, let's start with Frederick J. Kelly's quote. The guy who started standardized tests, he's the one who invented it, right? He said that these tests are too crude to be used, right?
That's ironic.
Exactly, it is. And what does that mean? That means that our current system of education, by the creator, he said that it's bad, that it's not correct what we're doing to the students. And it's not only that, now, the teachers.
Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna put this out here. I know a lot of us blame teachers for the homework we're given or the fact that we don't like class.
It's not their fault.
Yeah, to a certain extent, okay, sure, it may be their fault to a certain extent, but it's very little blame they actually have in all of this. Like, for example, look at a teacher that really, truly loves his job, that tries to transfer that his or her own passion to their students. Anyone you can think of right now?
Mr. Andrew, for sure.
Just putting this out here, we're not saying this because, yes, he's our teacher, he's grading it.
But that's not the reason. I mean, when I actually hear Mr. Andrew talk about, like, Fahrenheit 4x1, right? Even though I found it boring as hell, he actually loved talking about it, right? He was passionate about it. Like, 1984, like, when I talked to him about it, I could tell that this man loved what he was doing. And that's the kind of teachers we need because, I mean, they shape the minds of the future generation,
and
right?
I don't know if you've ever looked around the class when he's explaining. Apart from like some people, most of them are listening to the class.
That's true.
But jokes aside, they're actually listening. They're involved. And if he asks a question, what's the compared to IT or to extended maths,
Yeah.
how many people actually raise their hands to try and answer this question?
So many.
Right? We've all been in the math class. Okay, maybe most of us might have issues with maths, but that's not really what this is
I'll
about.
tell you something, right? You're in standard
Right.
math, so most of the people there just don't like math in
Yeah,
general, right? I'm in
exactly.
extended. That means everybody in that class actually are good at math, right? They should like math.
Yeah.
But students actually hate the class so much just because of the workload, and every single question the students would ask is that 11 7 to 8? Is that a 5 to 6? Is this going to be on the test? Do I need to know this for the test? Right? It's not that they love the learning, right? It's not that they actually care about what they're learning. It's just that, well, I need this for uni. Literally ask any person in extended math, hey, yo, why are you in extended math? Aside from like maybe Eric and Farah and like 3 or 4 people, the rest of them are going to be like, well, I need this for college, right? I want to be an engineer or something, and that's not even something they want to do. It's something their parents told them that they have to do. And then they're like, oh, well, I have to be an engineer. I have to take extended math. That's the reason why they're doing it, and that shouldn't be the reason why people are doing these things.
Yeah, and now that I think back about it, I remember it. We were walking together, and the teacher gave you this revision packet that was like 50 pages.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that just ties back to the whole overload of work, and that's just that mental health state can't be good after spending hours and hours.
See, that's another thing school doesn't teach us. Mental health, right?
Right.
Parents don't discuss mental health with their students, with their kids. Schools don't teach mental health to students, and that's why we have this whole epidemic now of depression and anxiety and
Yeah.
just that kind of thing, because it ties back to what we were taught and how our brains developed when we were kids, because of school, because of not being able to go out and really experience the world for what it truly is, right?
Yeah, but again, mental health right now, it is like a really fragile topic, let's say, but we have to remember that it's coming now. It's been progressing in the last 3 years maybe.
Yeah.
People have been more open about it, so we do encourage being more open about it, and the schools, we know they're trying. It's just about finding the right method to do it. But I think the main concern, again, since the main concern is the grading system, we should come up with a better grading system.
Yeah, something that doesn't reward, like, just something that develops a person's specific skills, kind of helps them with that,
Yeah, I feel like it's good that right now schools are rewarding effort over other aspects of someone's traits, but that's not a true display of
Their intellect.
Yeah, of what
their
they bring,
abilities.
what they bring to the table. You can't just tell, okay, yeah, he worked hard, so he's a better student. Sure, he's academically they're smarter, but they might not bring what's actually useful for someone to succeed. And let's say a university actually looks at the GPA, because some universities do, obviously. That's how you gotta choose your students. Let's say that kid now, they won't have a chance anymore to maybe solve climate change, find the cure to cancer. Why? Simply because they didn't put as much effort in their math test.
Hey man, well, that's why most of the biggest people, right, all these idols and stuff, most of them never went to college.
Right.
Even most of them are dropouts. I mean, look at
Steve Jobs and
exactly, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, Einstein. I mean, every time like somebody does really well in something, they're like, he's fucking Einstein, right? But like he actually dropped out because
Yeah.
and guys like Alibaba, the guy who made the whole the guy who made Alibaba, I'm blacking out on his name, but basically he actually said he said that you don't have to be the top of your class, just middle is fine, because you need to develop other skills and develop other traits that are actually applicable to the real world. I just remembered his name, Jack Ma.
Jack Ma, yeah.
Jack Ma, yeah.
I heard
So-
a lot about the guy.
Right? Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say, is that we need to allow students to develop outside of school and come up with a grading system that come up with a system in general that just brings out the students' skills and gives them an equal chance to change the world in their own specific way.
You're right. Something else I was thinking about is that we could change the subjects that we learn in school.
Exactly.
But not in a way that like just take out things we're being taught now, because to be fair, the fact that we're taught so much is to allow us to experience more,
Exactly.
to understand what we like and we don't like. But what about those kids that have been set on a goal since way before they were old enough to actually change it, right? Think about it. All of us well, most of us at least, when we were kids, always been dreaming big. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a firefighter. I want to save lives. I want to be a superhero. Yes, they may seem dumb at the start, but those are goals that actually they're aiming towards something that's good. You're not aiming towards, oh, I want to become rich. You're not aiming towards fitting into society. You're aiming towards becoming a useful member of it. And I feel like if only we allowed people who wanted to, I'm not saying everyone, but people who wanted to focus on something and specialize early on in their career, I feel like that would be so much more helpful for everyone.
Yeah, I think it ties back to that whole societal thing that, oh, what, who the hell are you? You're not Einstein. You can't do that.
Yeah.
It's that whole thing that people don't support each other, and I think that goes back to, I mean, obviously their own failures as a person, but also the way the school supports the students.
And yeah, to be fair, I'm gonna give this, like, let's be fair. Let's stay objective. The IB does attempt to find and give us those skills we need in life, like later on. For example, they try to make us become more open-minded thinkers. But let's
The
be
whole
fair.
learner profile.
Yeah,
thing.
in the ATL.
Yeah, but nobody. I mean, they failed to achieve that so badly. I mean, have you ever heard a student unironically say that? Yeah, I'm trying to be a more open-minded.
Yeah, I'm just being a thinker. I'm being balanced.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's gotten to the point where even teachers make fun of the learner profile.
Oh, yeah, it's a tough topic to actually tackle, but I feel like over time, we can.
I feel like not just because what they do is they just put the words on the board and think,
Yeah.
oh yeah, well, we're encouraging students to do it. That's not how you encourage a person, right? I mean, once we follow examples of Khan Academy in Finland, I mean, we can achieve these like a better and more productive society because we can nurture the kids when they're young and teach them to chase their goals, and overall we just develop a more healthy, like mentally healthy, like society.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And by the way, guys, whoever is listening in, if you do have an opinion you'd like to share with us, whether you agree or not, feel free to contact us on our social medias and whatever. And if you're involved in a school, if you're a teacher, a parent, don't be scared to bring it up to your boss. This is a fine line we're crossing here between what's to do and what's not to do for the future generations. But it's important to try and change something that hasn't changed in 150 years, let's be honest. So that said, thanks to everyone for listening in. And remember that, guys, together we can change the system.